You know what's crazy? When two people kiss on day one and don't end up together until the literal finale. Welcome to the wild, messy, absolutely unhinged journey of Nicolandria. We're talking about Nic and Olandria from Love Island USA Season 7, the couple that had fans screaming at their screens for weeks. The pairing that felt destined from episode 1 but took the scenic route through heartbreak, Casa Amor disasters, and one of the most controversial eliminations in Love Island history. From Ace to Taylor to Cierra and back again, this is the story of how two people found their way to each other despite literally everything working against them. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around because what happened with these two is unlike anything we've seen before on Love Island. The keywords everyone's searching: Ace, Nicolandria, Nic and Olandria, Taylor, Love Island Huda, Love Island Season 7, Love Island USA, Cierra, dating show, Nicolandria, Nic and Olandria. Yeah, this story has it all. Real quick though, if you're already obsessed with this couple or you're about to be, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you're gonna want to see what happens next with these two, and I've got all the tea. Plus, I promise to keep you updated on everything Nicolandria because, let's be real, they're not going anywhere. All right, let's get into it. So here's where it starts. Night 1 in the Fiji villa. Everyone's meeting for the first time, trying to figure out who they vibe with, and Olandria Carthen walks in. 27 years old, gorgeous, confident, from Alabama. She's got options, and she knows it. The first coupling lets the girls choose who they want to kiss, and Olandria goes for Taylor Williams first. He's the Oklahoma cowboy, Southern charm, the whole deal. She liked that energy. But then she walks up to Nic Vinstenberga, this 24-year-old nurse from Jacksonville, Florida, and she says something that would become iconic. "Come on, Cream." She twirls him around, kisses him, and when she pulls away, she's smiling. This one got a little spice to it. "He's seasoned," she says. Even from day one, there was something there. The chemistry was undeniable. But Olandria chose Taylor. Nic got coupled with Belle. And that should have been that. Except it wasn't, because the very next episode, things got interesting. Host Ariana Madix gave everyone a chance to secretly kiss someone they were interested in, while everyone sat blindfolded. No one would know who kissed who. It was anonymous, risky, the perfect opportunity to explore a connection without consequences. And Nic, he jumped at the chance. He walked right over to Olandria and kissed her so intensely that even Ariana gasped. The whole villa heard it. When they pulled apart, Olandria was left wondering who her mystery kisser could possibly be. She'd never find out until much, much later. Nic kept that secret locked down tight, even though he's terrible at keeping secrets. For weeks, Olandria had no idea it was him. She thought maybe it was someone with a scratchy beard. She looked around the room trying to figure it out. Meanwhile, Nic was over there with Bella and then later with Cierra, watching Olandria from across the villa and knowing he'd already tasted what could have been. That blindfold kiss set the tone for everything that came next. Fans saw it, they made edits, they shipped them hard. They even got Ariana Madix herself admitting on AfterSun that she wished Nic and Olandria would get a real shot together. But both of them were locked into other connections. Nic moved on to Cierra Ortega, a bombshell who entered the villa and immediately caught his attention. They built something solid, something that looked like it could go the distance. Olandria stayed loyal to Taylor even when the villa threw bombshells at them, even when America briefly paired her with Jaylen Brown. She turned Jaylen down and went back to Taylor because that's who she wanted to explore. For weeks, Nicolandria was just a fan fantasy. Two people with undeniable chemistry who kept choosing other people. But the universe had other plans. And those plans started with Casa Amor.
Casa Amor is designed to test couples. It splits them up, throws new people at them, and forces everyone to decide if they want to stay loyal or explore something new. For Nic and Olandria, Casa Amor became the moment everything shifted. But not in the way anyone expected. Nic stayed in the main villa while new girls came in to tempt the guys. Olandria went to Casa Amor where new guys tried to win her over. And here's where it gets wild. Neither of them found anyone. Nic didn't connect with any of the Casa girls. Olandria didn't vibe with any of the Casa guys. So when it came time for the recoupling, when everyone had to choose whether to bring someone new back or stick with their original partner, both Nic and Olandria were dumped. Taylor Mellinger chose to recouple with Clark Carraway, a Casa bombshell. Cierra chose to stay loyal to Nic, but since Nic didn't recouple with anyone, he was out. Olandria got left behind too.
In most seasons, that would be it. They'd leave the island, go home, never see each other again. But Love Island threw in a brand new twist. Nic and Olandria were picked up in a car, separately at first, and then together. They were taken on a romantic date surrounded by candles in a secluded wooded area. It was gorgeous, intimate, the kind of date you'd dream about. And then production gave them a choice. Leave the island immediately as singles, or couple up with each other and return to the villa together. It wasn't even a hard decision. They chose each other. Nic admitted he'd been wanting to get to know Olandria better, to have deeper conversations, to finally stop being her secret admirer and actually explore what they had. Olandria confessed she'd wondered if there was something between them, but never thought much of it since neither of them ever pulled the other for a chat. So they coupled up, shared a kiss that had fans losing their minds, and walked back into the villa as Nicolandria. Finally!
Except it wasn't that simple. Because even though they were officially a couple, Olandria still had Taylor on her mind. And Nic, he was still thinking about Cierra. They tried to make it work. They kissed in challenges, they flirted, they had chemistry that was impossible to deny. But when they sat down and really talked about it, Olandria admitted she didn't feel anything romantic yet. She told Nic she saw him as a friend. And just like that, Nicolandria was over before it really began. They went back to being friends, Nic reconnected with Cierra, and they became exclusive. Olandria tried to work things out with Taylor, but it was clear Clark was his priority now. The door had opened for Nicolandria, and they'd walked right past it. Fans were devastated. All that buildup, all that chemistry, and they chose to just be friends. It felt like the end of the story, but fate wasn't done with them yet.
The villa is unpredictable. Just when you think you know how things are going to play out, something happens that flips everything upside down. For Nic and Olandria, that moment came in episode 30, just 1 week before the finale. Cierra was removed from the villa. Old social media posts resurfaced, showing her using a slur against the Asian community. The backlash was immediate and intense. Production pulled her out, citing personal reasons, and just like that, Nic was single again. He was lost. He had been in a solid couple, planning a future with Cierra, and now she was gone. Meanwhile, Olandria's situation with Taylor had completely fallen apart. He was fully invested in Clark, and it was obvious there was no coming back from that. So when the next recoupling came around, Olandria chose Nic. Not because she had no other options, but because she wanted to give it another shot. This time, with no distractions, no other connections pulling them in different directions.
And this time, it worked. They started slow. Nic made her breakfast, took care of her, showed up for her in ways that mattered. Olandria let herself be soft, let herself be vulnerable, let Nic take the lead. They had real conversations, deep talks about what they wanted, where they saw this going. The chemistry that had always been there finally had space to breathe. And fans? Fans were ecstatic. Nicolandria was back, for real this time, and it was everything they'd been waiting for. The Villa challenges became even more iconic. There was the heart rate challenge, where Nic and Olandria had a moment so intense it made everyone's jaw drop. There was the baby challenge, where they took care of a doll together and showed off their parenting skills. Every episode, they got closer. Every date, they fell a little harder. By the time Family Day rolled around, both families were fully on board. Nic's mom and sister had been shipping Nicolandria from the beginning, and seeing them finally together was everything. But there was still one more twist. On the last day in the villa, right before the finale, Nic finally told Olandria the truth about the blindfold kiss.
He admitted he was the one who kissed her on day 2. The mystery suitor she'd been wondering about for weeks? It was him. It had always been him. Olandria couldn't believe he'd kept that secret for so long, especially since Nic is terrible at keeping secrets. But it made everything click into place. From the very beginning, Nic had been into her. He'd been watching, waiting, hoping for the right moment. And now, 36 episodes later, they were finally together. They made it to the finale as one of the final 4 couples. They didn't win. Amaya and Brian took home the $100,000, but Nic and Olandria finished in 2nd place. And honestly, they walked away with something better. They walked away with each other.
Leaving the villa is when reality hits. No more cameras constantly filming, no more challenges bringing you together, no more isolation from the real world. For a lot of Love Island couples, this is where things fall apart. But Nic and Olandria, they're proving everyone wrong. At the reunion, filmed just a month after the finale, they confirmed they were still together. But they also made it clear they weren't putting a label on things yet. No boyfriend-girlfriend titles, no rushing into anything serious. They wanted to take their time, let the relationship develop naturally without the pressure of fan expectations. And fans had a lot of expectations. Comments like, "She better come pregnant and married," were everywhere. People wanted them to move fast, make it official, prove it was real. But Nic and Olandria wasn't interested in performing for anyone. They were focused on each other.
Olandria appeared on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen and gushed about Nic. She talked about how he lets her be soft, how he takes control when she's usually a control freak, and how the support she gets from him is unreal. "I'm so happy that I was blessed with this guy who allows me to bask in my femininity," she said. "He takes the wheel. The support that I have from this guy allows me to be the soft woman I've always wanted to be." It was clear she wasn't just saying what people wanted to hear. She genuinely appreciated what Nic brought to her life. And Nic, he was just as smitten. In interviews, he talked about wanting to take care of her, make her feel safe, be the man she deserves. He mentioned they had travel plans, dates lined up, a whole future they were building together. And they weren't just talking about it, they were living it. Just a couple weeks after the finale, Nic and Olandria flew to Greece for what they called a vacation. They posted videos of themselves wrapped around each other, sipping wine in front of oceanfront views, exploring the country together. Nic even brought his blue Labubu plushie named Bubbles, the same one he'd carried around the villa. Fans joked that Bubbles was Marcel's little sibling, referencing their baby doll from the Villa Challenge. It was cute, it was real, it was them living their best lives. They also did commercial work together, ad campaigns, brand deals. They were building something beyond just a relationship. They were building a brand, a future, a life that included both of their individual careers and their partnership. And through it all, they kept showing up for each other. When Nic went on his Greek Fest tour across college campuses, Olandria surprised him at stops. When Olandria had big moments, Nic was right there supporting her. By the way, if you're loving this story and you want more updates on Nic and Olandria, you know what to do. Hit subscribe, drop a like, because this couple keeps giving us content, and I'm here for all of it. Now back to the story.
Let's talk about the little things, because that's where you see the truth of a relationship. Anyone can post cute couple photos. Anyone can say the right things in interviews, but it's the small moments, the unscripted interactions, the way they are when they think no one's watching, that really show what's real. And with Nic and Olandria, those moments are everywhere. At Greek Fest in LA, Olandria showed up as a surprise guest. She walked out in this insane outfit, straps on her hips, belly button piercing showing, nose piercing in, fake eyebrow piercing pulling the whole look together. She looked incredible. And the way Nic looked at her, that man was gone. There's this video where Olandria leans into his face, brushes her hand over his stomach, and they make direct eye contact the entire time. She's looking at him with those big, gorgeous eyes, and Nic literally says, "I don't know where to look." Fans were screaming. "They're straight up floating in our face," one person commented. "Right in front of us, right in front of my salad." It's not just the big romantic gestures. It's the way they tease each other. At Greek Fest, when Nic got a red hoodie, Olandria looked at him and said, This is mine, by the way. This is mine. Because he'd snatched her SpongeBob hoodie earlier and she wasn't letting him forget it. It's the way Nick's entire face lights up when he's with her. You can see it in photos, the way his eyes squint when he smiles, the way his whole expression changes. That's not something you can fake. It's the way Olandria leans into him when she's laughing, the way she gets soft and giggly around him. Fans have been watching them fall in love in real time, and it hits different because you can tell it's genuine. Neither of them are good actors. We saw them try to promote things on the show, and it was obvious they couldn't fake emotions to save their lives. So when they're together and it feels authentic, that's because it is.
There's also the way they handle the haters, because trust me, there are haters. People saying they're scamming each other, that it's all for show, that one of them is using the other. Nicolandria fans don't even engage with that nonsense anymore. It's gotten to the point where it's almost funny. Like, you're really watching two people who are clearly obsessed with each other and trying to claim it's fake. Make it make sense. The intentionality is there. The consistency is there. The future plans are there. They're not rushing. They're not performing. They're just being themselves. And that's what makes it so compelling. In a world where everything feels curated and fake, Nicolandria feels real. They feel like two people who genuinely found each other, who are taking their time to build something that lasts, who aren't interested in playing games or chasing clout. They're just living their lives and letting people watch if they want to. There's something about Nic and Olandria that sets them apart from other Love Island couples. Maybe it's because their journey was so unconventional. They didn't couple up on day one and ride that wave to the finale. They circled each other for weeks, built a friendship first, tried and failed and tried again. Or maybe it's because they feel like equals. Olandria isn't changing herself to fit what Nic wants, and Nic isn't trying to mold her into something she's not. She gets to be soft and feminine in a way she hasn't been before, and he gets to be the protector and provider he wants to be. They complement each other without losing themselves. Or maybe it's just because you can see how much they genuinely like each other. It's not just physical attraction, though that's obviously there. It's the way they laugh together, the way they communicate, the way they show up for each other consistently.
Olandria talked about experiencing her soft girl era with Nic, and you can tell what she means. She's someone who's used to being in control, handling everything herself, not relying on anyone. And with Nic, she doesn't have to do that. He takes care of things. He plans the dates, he makes the decisions, he lets her just exist without carrying all the weight. That's huge for someone like Olandria. And for Nic, being with Olandria lets him be the man he wants to be. He's nurturing, he's supportive, he's the kind of partner who shows love through actions. Making her breakfast, planning trips, being there when she needs him. That's his love language. And with Olandria, he gets to do that without it feeling like too much or not enough. They just fit. The trips they're taking together are another sign this is real. Nic took Olandria to Disneyland for her first time. He took her to Europe for her first time. He's creating experiences with her, making memories, building a foundation that goes beyond just dating. They're not just hanging out and posting cute photos. They're actively choosing each other every single day.
Fans who follow them closely have noticed how intentional everything is. The way they talk about each other in interviews, the way they show up for each other's big moments, the way they're not rushing to put labels on things or make grand declarations. They're letting the relationship breathe and grow at its own pace. And honestly, that's refreshing. So many reality TV couples rush to capitalize on their fame, push out relationship content, do all the things they think fans want to see. Nic and Olandria are just being themselves. If people want to watch, great. If not, they're still going to do their thing. That confidence, that security in what they have, is what makes people believe in them. It's what makes Nicolandria feel different from every other Love Island showmance we've seen. This isn't a showmance. This is two people who found each other in the most chaotic circumstances possible and somehow made it work.
The Love Island USA Season 7 reunion was always going to be messy,
Put 30 people who spent weeks in close quarters together, add in all the drama that happened inside and outside the villa, throw in hosts Ariana Madix and Andy Cohen, and you've got a recipe for chaos. And it delivered. But for Nicolandria, the reunion was actually a positive experience. They came in strong, still together, still happy, and they got to see just how much support they had. Nick's family was there backing them up. Fans were flooding social media with love. Even other Islanders were rooting for them. But not everything at the reunion was smooth. There was tension, especially around some of the things that happened during the season. Olandria had a moment where she tearfully questioned why Huda Mustafa, one of her closest friends in the villa, didn't publicly denounce the negativity and harassment Olandria faced from some fans. It was an emotional conversation, one that showed just how much the outside noise affected Olandria, even though she tried to stay above it.
Nick backed her up through all of it. He was there supporting her, making sure she felt heard, showing everyone that he wasn't just her partner when things were easy. He was there for the hard stuff too. The reunion also gave them a chance to clear up some misconceptions. They addressed the pressure they'd been feeling from fans to make things official, to put a label on their relationship. They explained that they were taking their time, doing things their way, and not letting outside expectations dictate their pace. Andy Cohen asked them the tough questions, and they answered honestly. No deflecting, no playing games, just real talk about where they were and where they wanted to go. It was clear they were on the same page, which is more than you can say for a lot of the other couples. After the reunion aired, Nic and Olandria continued doing their thing. They posted content together, showed up for brand events, kept traveling. They even hinted at more projects in the works, though they have been keeping those details close to the chest for now.
What's been most impressive is how they've handled the transition from reality TV to real life. A lot of couples struggle with that shift. The villa is a bubble, a controlled environment where you're forced to focus on your relationship. The real world is different. There are distractions, responsibilities, distance. Nick's in Jacksonville, Florida. Olandria is in Houston, Texas. That's not an easy drive. But they're making it work. They're flying to see each other, planning trips together, finding ways to stay connected even when they're physically apart. They're putting in the effort, and it shows. Their social media isn't just cute couple content. It's real glimpses into their lives. Olandria posting videos of them being goofy together. Nick sharing moments from their trips. Both of them supporting each other's individual projects and celebrating each other's wins. They're building something sustainable, not just chasing the high of being a fan-favorite couple. So, where do Nic and Olandria go from here? If you ask them, they'll tell you they're taking it one day at a time. No pressure, no timelines, just seeing where things go. But if you're a fan watching closely, you can see the trajectory. They're serious about each other. They're planning a future together. Whether that means moving to the same city eventually, making things officially official with labels and titles, or just continuing to build what they have, it's clear they're in it for the long haul. Nic has talked about wanting to support Olandria's career goals, whatever those might be. Olandria has mentioned feeling grateful for having someone who lets her be herself. They're both focused on growth, both individually and as a couple. And that's the kind of foundation that actually lasts. Not the couples who rush to move in together after 2 weeks, not the ones who perform their relationship for cameras, but the ones who take their time, communicate, and genuinely enjoy being together. The Love Island Games Season 2 is coming up, and there's speculation about whether Nicolandria might be invited to compete. They haven't confirmed anything yet, but fans would absolutely lose their minds if they showed up together. Can you imagine them competing as a couple? The chemistry, the competitiveness, the entertainment value, it would be incredible. Even if they don't do Love Island Games, there are plenty of other opportunities out there for them. Brand deals, appearances, maybe even their own content. Fans have made it clear they want to see more of Nicolandria, and there's definitely an appetite for whatever they want to do next. But beyond the career stuff, beyond the public appearances and the Instagram posts, What matters most is that they're happy. And from everything we've seen, they are. They're not perfect. No couple is. But they're real, they're committed, and they're building something meaningful. In a world where reality TV relationships are usually over before the reunion airs, that's rare. That's special. All right, before we wrap this up, if you made it this far, you're officially part of Nicolandria Nation. Welcome! Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, drop a like, and let me know in the comments what your favorite Nicolandria moment is. Are you team blindfold kiss, team Casa Amor date, team finale declaration? Let me know, because I love talking about these two and I want to hear what you think.
Nic and Olandria's story is proof that sometimes the best things come when you least expect them. They didn't couple up on day one, even though the chemistry was there. They didn't force it during Casa Amor, even though production gave them the perfect opportunity. They waited until the timing was right, until all the other connections had run their course, until they were both ready to give it everything they had. And when they finally got together for real, it was worth the wait. From that first kiss on day one to that blindfold kiss on day two, to all the challenge makeouts to the Casa Amor reunion, to finally becoming a real couple just days before the finale, their journey has been anything but straightforward. But maybe that's what makes it so beautiful. It wasn't manufactured by producers. It wasn't forced by fan pressure. It happened organically, naturally, in its own time.
Nicolandria isn't just a Love Island couple. They're a reminder that real connection can't be rushed. That chemistry alone isn't enough if the timing isn't right. That sometimes you have to take the long way around to get where you're meant to be. Nic said it himself. He was Olandria's secret admirer from the start. He saw something in her that made him take that blindfold off and kiss her in front of everyone without a second thought. Olandria felt that spark too, even if she didn't fully understand it at first. And now, months later, they're living proof that when something is meant to be, it'll happen. Maybe not on your timeline, maybe not in the way you expected, but it'll happen. So here's to Nic and Olandria, to second chances and second place finishes, to blindfold kisses and Casa Amor dates, to soft girl eras and secret admirers, to taking your time and doing things your way, to proving the haters wrong and making the fans scream, to building something real in the fakest environment possible, to Nicolandria. May they continue to thrive, continue to grow, and continue to be the couple we all root for, because if anyone deserves a happy ending, it's these two.
And that's the story. From day one chemistry to finale declarations to real-world romance, Nic and Olandria have given us one of the best Love Island love stories we've ever seen. The journey's not over. They're still writing their story, still figuring things out, still taking it one day at a time. But if the beginning is any indication, the rest is gonna be incredible. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of this journey with them, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.